Hey, welcome back to Russ Total Garage and the 55 Buick POS special build. So, it's been a little bit. I actually had another video started for last week. Got off on a tangent, as sometimes I do, and went down a rabbit hole, and I scrapped that video. It just wasn't working out. So, I think I should just do what I was supposed to do and move forward with getting this thing running. All right, so where I left off on the last video, I obviously just had the eBay wiring harness kind of laying on each side of the engine, and I wanted to remove the rails and injectors for testing, which I did already. I did actually video them, but for some reason I didn't get any sound, so toss that out. But, you know, it's pretty easy. It's just 4 8mm bolts, vacuum line for the regulator, and that was all I needed to pull them off. There's no fuel lines or anything on it to worry about. So I want to check those out. The reason is I've had no luck with injectors on the LS engines that have sat for a long time. Okay, so to test my fuel injectors, I got this little guy here that I bought on Amazon, because I used to just normally put a momentary switch and 12 volts and cycle the injectors, and I did have one burn up that way. So I bought this. This was not expensive. This was like under 30 bucks, and it's a little basically a pulse generator. It's got 4 sets of wires here, so it can do, looks like 2 injectors at the same time, but I'll just do one at a time. But it's got, said 2 reds, 2 blacks outputs. It's got little type slide-on connectors on the end that actually just push right onto the pins of the injectors. So you don't have to make connectors, because I thought I was going to have to make connectors. And it's got, goes right to 12 volts. It's got this little harness here that plugs in the top, and you just take power from a battery. So if you're working on your car, you can just hook this up and do that. And I'm actually going to try that, because I've got a Denali outside that I didn't start for a long time, I'll just say. And it developed a misfire from sitting. And I'm sure it's a stuck injector. So I'm going to see if I can, you know, bang on it or do something to try to get it back. But if I can't, this would be a cool way to test it. So look at that. Isn't that like a nice Christmassy type looking display there, I would say, or setup? It's pretty neat. I'm going to put these rails under pressure with my external fuel pump setup and use a little fuel injector tester to cycle these and see what the spray patterns look like. And as long as they're spraying and not sticking open, throw them in and we'll fire the engine. I just mainly want to make sure I don't have anything stuck open, because if you saw my earlier videos, I had a 5.3 that I bent a rod because I had a injector stick open, hydrolocked the cylinder, and bent the rod. I don't want to do that. There's no reason to do that for no reason. So I'm going to test these out before I put them on. Even though I'm not keeping these injectors, these are not the final injectors. These are just to start the engine. All right, you want a science project? We got a science project. So I've got my external fuel pump hooked up. I connect this. That's running fuel through the rails. Then power this guy up. And I'm going to put this on mode 2, which is kind of a short cycle, and see what happens there. Well, it sprays fuel. I can't tell if it's the right spray pattern or not, but it does spray fuel. And the reason it looks green is I use this external fuel pump setup to run LS engines before I put them in storage. or at least I have lately anyway. And what I do is I put 2-stroke oil in the fuel to try to get some oil in the injectors so that they work when the time comes to use the engine a year from now or 2 years from now. I can't tell if that's a good spray pattern or not. I don't know enough about fuel injectors, but I do know that it sprays. All right, next injector. Nothing. Let me make sure I got my wires on there right. All right, try again. Wiring seemed right. I think that's a dead injector. To try tapping on it or something. See if it's possible to bring it back to life. All right, just testing another one. Again, don't know if the spray pattern's right or not, but I'm going to figure out which ones are not working and then see if I can give them a smack and get them to work again. I should try out some of these different modes too. Four is like a continuous. I bet they could all use a good cleaning, but we'll see what I end up with. All right, so I have 2 stuck injectors, or at least I had 2. This one here was stuck, didn't work on pulse. I put it on mode 8 of this unit here, which is a high power continuous, and it broke it free. Now if I put it on the same mode as the others, it's working. So I've got one more over there that's a problem child. Let's see if we can get that one unstuck. All right, I got my wires hooked up to that injector there, which is actually number 2. Turn on the fuel pump. Turn on the tester. I'm going to put it on mode 8, high power, and see if it works. Look at that. It did it. Huh. And you can see it's spitting and the pattern's not the best. But it should work to run the engine. That's pretty cool. So now with the help of this this little guy here, which was only like, it was under $30 off Amazon. That's a great little tool to have. That was definitely worth buying that. Because I definitely had 2 dead stuck injectors when I started. So it was, you know, it's a good idea to test these things. It never would have ran right. Now at least I know if the pattern's not great on the fuel spray, at least I know I've got fire, you know, I've got fuel in all 8 cylinders. So at least I can take that off the guest list. If the engine doesn't run right, at least I know it should hit on all 8 cylinders. That's cool. So now I can clean up this rail, put it back on the engine. All right, so I'm just draining the rails back. Here's my temporary fuel pump setup. It's basically a Silverado fuel tank module just stuck in a VP race gas can. Works fantastic. and take a look at what came out of those injectors. I mean, that's probably junk from ethanol gas. But man, that's pretty ugly. Look at it, just ugh. So it was definitely worth testing them. I'll give them a spray with brake clean and put them back in the car. All right, so that's just a quick video on a pretty neat little tool there. I had to test your injectors and maybe recover them. I said there's two. Initially, I could not get those to flow anything, and now they're working. But more importantly to me, again, I'm not going to use these in the car, and if I do put them in another car or another engine, I'll clean them more. But most important to me is that fuel is not leaking out of them when they're turned off. I just don't want to hydrolock a cylinder. So I'll get this installed, and on the next video, now that I know this is good, we'll finish up the eBay wiring harness installation, and maybe we can get this thing started. At least that's what I'm hoping. I don't want to jump ahead, but that's what I'm hoping. All right, so thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.